Here we go. So we're now recording. And everyone, again, welcome. We're so happy to have you here to learn a little bit about Columbia High School. Hopefully all of your students had a great first week. I know that we all had so much fun being back in the building and welcoming your students for the first time into the building. And it was kind of like the first time all over again for us, since we really, haven't been in full time in so long and really kind of miss being able to see the students in person. So it was a really fun week for us, and hopefully it was also for your students. And that said, this evening the program is geared towards parents and guardians, but if your student wants to come, check in with you and sit here and watch with you, that's totally fine. We will be going over some information about GPA and credits for graduation, which can be a little bit overwhelming. But if you think it's something that your student would want to hear in this type of setting, then definitely call them over. If not, it's information that we relay to the students in time directly. So before we get into our program here, CHS 101, I just wanted to deliver some important messages from some of our partners. We have amazing organizations in the community that we work with at Columbia. The first of which is Cougar Cares. Hopefully you've already heard of them. They do pretty amazing things for our students and for our school. If they hear about any family in need in the community, they are like immediately dispatched to go help delivering groceries, whatever it is that the family needs, just taking care of it. They raise funds to cover not only things like that, but also everything for the senior events so that all of our seniors can attend prom, graduation, get a yearbook, all those things that cost money senior year. Cougar Cares is there to kind of cover the cost for any senior who may not be able to afford it. Definitely check out their website. The links here in this presentation will be posted on the website. And we just encourage any donations for Cougar Care. So there's like a little link right here in order to be able to help support an amazing organization. They're always there for us, even if we have like an impromptu thing happening at the school and we're like, oh, we need waters on ice in half an hour. Like they're suddenly there somehow in half an hour with their trunks full of water and ice. So we really couldn't survive without them. So please do support them. We love Cougar Cares. We also have the amazing HSA. I don't think we're exaggerating when we say that if you want to know what's going on at Columbia High School, sign up for the HSA e-blast. It's how a lot of us find out what's going on. So I really think it's like one of the number one things that you should do as soon as you're a Columbia family is make sure you're on that HSA list, that you're a member of the HSA, and paying your HSA funds also contributes and supports Cougar Cares, which we were just talking about, and a bunch of other events like this amazing teacher brunch that we all look forward to every year, some appreciation events like that. So please do also support the HSA. Oops, sorry. And our last little plug here for a partner is our very own library. So our librarians at the CHS library asked us to share some information. Mainly, I think the biggest question they're getting right now is about how to access your Gmail for students, the Power School and everything like that. And students can get their Power School login reset from our librarians. So they can either go up to the library or they can email our librarians right here. There's the email address. That's also on the website to be able to get their Power School login reset. Parents, not through the librarians though. You have to make sure you email this address down here, which is also on the website too, but Parent Portal Help. So it's a separate system to get your parent login reset. But for students, that can happen through the library. And they can also work with our librarians to troubleshoot any issues with their school Gmail, with getting into Canvas, anything that the student needs to access digitally, our librarians can help them with that. And here's their hours starting this week. We have some late hours here, which is wonderful that the library is open and available. And now for our own plugs for our own department. I hope everybody checks out the counseling website. And thank you. I do see a note here that people are having trouble accessing the meeting. This unfortunately does happen whenever we do a WebEx because I think that the platform is new for some people. So if it's their first time trying to access a WebEx, it can be like a little tricky getting on. But it appears the information sent out was correct since we have over 150 people on this event. So I feel horrible. I'm not sure what to do, but we are recording this. So if you have a friend who can't get on for any reason, um, no fear. We will be posting this, hopefully by the end of the week. So hopefully that'll work. Okay. So again, please be sure to visit our website. It's right off the Columbia High School page. And this is just a screenshot of the homepage and just some of the important things you'll see as soon as you log on. We have announcements that are posted here and changed weekly. So like, for example, right now, there's an announcement up there reminding everybody that the add drop period, the schedule change request period, is going to end this Friday, the 24th. So like really important reminders like that will be on here under announcements. So make sure you're checking that weekly. And also you can start to see our little calendar down here. We have a lot of amazing events happening. So be sure to be getting on the counseling website off the Columbia High School page to check this all out. And just wanted to kind of let everybody know that we're going to be having a grand opening for the counseling annex, which is a space in the library that's going to house a lot of our additional supports that the counselor may refer the student to. So that's where students can access tutoring. That's where they can access like a social work intern or a school counseling intern. We're going to have groups. We're going to have workshops, a ton of stuff going on up there. So we're going to have a little grand opening for students and staff during the lunch periods next Monday so that everyone's aware of what we're offering, how to sign up for those things. It's just going to be a simple form, a Google form that's on the website, or students can go right up to the library to sign up for any of the supports up there. And also we are going to be kicking off the parent element of this. We're calling it Parent Academy. It's going to be a collaboration between the Counseling Annex and the Parenting Center. And our first event is going to be next Tuesday night, virtual discussion similar to this. It's going to be more about mental health than what tonight is about. So we definitely recommend that all parents kind of log on to that. It'll be a nice complement to what we're talking about tonight. And the material is like a little bit heavy for our first parent night, yes, but this is all in the name of Suicide Prevention Month, which is the month of September. So we thought it very important to bring a speaker to kind of lead this discussion. So we have a professional leading the discussion. So we'll send out the information and it's on our calendar and everything like that. So just make sure you mark off and save the date. That said, I'm going to be turning our program over to, I think we're starting with Ms. Ranelli, right? Take it away, Ms. Ranelli.
Can everybody hear me? Yay. Hi, everyone. I'm Miss Ranelli. I'm excited to be here, entering my 13th year here at Columbia High School. And just a little tidbit about myself, I started as a 9th grade counselor, specializing in the transition from 8th to 9th grade. So I am extra excited to be here with you 9th graders tonight. Ms. Ballastone did mention a lot of things that are on my slides. However, I will recap, just make sure that anyone just joining can hear the same thing that she was mentioning. So first part of how to survive at Columbia, we talked about Canvas a little bit, or Ms. Ballastone mentioned Canvas. This is a platform that was introduced when we went virtual to help keep kids, teachers, counselors sort of organized in one space, and making it easier for everyone to be able to access the material and the curriculum. So we have a lot of resources on the SOMSD website, how to access. The one little caveat I wanted to mention was that it is paired with PowerSchool in a sense that when a course is added to PowerSchool, it will then also show up in Canvas, but there may be a 24-hour lag between the two. So we don't want you to be nervous if you don't see your course show up in Canvas immediately. It will show up. If for some reason it has not, or there's any issue, if you can let us know as soon as possible, just let your counselor know or let your teacher know that it hasn't showed up, and we will make sure that we get it addressed immediately. But like I said, it's not immediate, but it's about 24 hours later. PowerSchool we've been using for a long time. This is important that students and parents have access to it. This is how students can see their schedule changes. Grades are posted in Canvas and PowerSchool. You will have progress reports in PowerSchool, teacher comments. So it is important. Every year we have a lot of students come to me and they say, I don't know my PowerSchool login, or I forgot it, or my parents want to know if they can get on and see. So you want to make sure that you have your login in the parent portal and that your students have their login as well. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the counseling website, which I am awfully excited about this year. We've never had a website so full of information before, and easy to access. I will say what I really like about the website is that all the forms that we used to have, like hard copies of it that we used to have to hand to our students, and then have the students sign and get back to us. Now a lot of it is all digital. So we can't lose a paper, or we think the student took it home and they got it signed, but then it got lost on the way back to school. So what's really nice is that any kind of resource that we have, anything that a student might need for assistance is going to be right on the website. All the forms are on the website, so we can refer a student. A parent can go on and refer a student. The student can go on themselves, a teacher. So this is very, very exciting. And what's nice is it's also a work in progress. So any new resource that comes along for students, any really question that you probably have, you want to go and check the website first, because most likely the answer is there. Next, I'll be talking about SCORE. Some of you might have had older siblings or students go through and have heard of the college web-based called Naviance. So this is similar to Naviance. It's just a different program that has been introduced in the last couple of years. Again, it's pronounced SCORE. Your students will be invited to join and sign up in SCORE. It is forthcoming. It was mentioned in the freshman meetings that we had with students on the first day. We told them to be on the lookout, that they would receive an email from us where they would go on and they would sign up for SCORE. The good thing is that parents also have an opportunity to have a SCORE account as well. So you will also be invited to create an account within SCORE. And I don't want to get too much into detail about it because there is a lot of detail, but as far as freshmen are concerned, once we get everybody signed up, we want to make sure everybody has an account, you have access. Everyone can start to kind of work within SCORE at their own pace. When we meet with freshmen this year, we will be introducing some surveys and some more things that freshmen can go on and start to utilize within SCORE. Kind of an overview of SCORE is, well, by the way, the meaning of SCORE is that it means it's to transition from one phase to another. So it kind of makes sense because it's all about transitioning through high school and into your post-high school plans. So that's really what it is. It's to help students have one place that they can go and that they can start to organize themselves, their thoughts, what they want to do in the future, talk about career choices with their counselors and their parents. So it's a really, really nice website. It is a secure website. It has a ton of resources for all post-high school planning. So again, I don't expect everyone to have an account tomorrow and to start to think about what you want to do down the road. This is just so that you're familiar with the terminology and that you know what it is when we do introduce it to you in the coming months. Another great resource we have, actually I think Ms. Handler brought it to Columbia High School, was something called Remind. What's great about Remind is that it's an opportunity for students to get messages from their counselors directly to their phone in a text message form. I think my students get text messages quicker than they answer their emails. So on the very first day, all the counselors ask the students to sign up for a Remind account. So if you could please check with your students if they have a Remind account. The codes are on our website and it explains how to go on and to sign up for an account. If your student or you guys can't find how to sign up, please contact your counselor. We'd be more than happy to make sure that you're signed up and that you get messages and information as quickly as possible. And emails, also very important. There are places in PowerSchool where we're able to go in, teachers, admin, counselors, where if we want to email you, we want to make sure that we're emailing the correct email address. Sometimes there's an old email address or an outdated one, and we definitely want to make sure that if we communicate with you that it's getting to the right person, and that you have a valid email address. So please make sure that you check and make sure it's accurate in PowerSchool. Next slide, please. Okay, so some of the things that counselors do, what do we do? We provide lessons to students. So sometimes we'll go into the classroom and we'll have a topic that we'll be going over with the students, or we'll bring students down in groups to the auditorium, or we have one-on-one meetings. So that's how we deliver a lot of our curriculum, and a lot of the information is passed on to students that way. We also, as Ms. Ballasone mentioned before, lots of events that go on through guidance. It's posted. Some events you can just drop into, some events you're called down to, some events there is a sign up and you have to register for it. So like I said, depending on the event or what's happening in that moment, there's a couple different ways that you're able to access the event. One of my favorite things to do is the individual student planning, where we sit down with your student and we discuss and kind of map out a 4-year plan for them. And what's nice is we've now kind of digitized that. So it's not just on a piece of paper for the student. It's in a shared Google Doc with the parent, with the student, and myself. So it's live. So as a student is taking and passing a class, we signal that in the doc. If they're taking it, it's a certain color. If they've already passed it, it's a certain color. So it's nicely color coordinated. And it helps students be able to go to one document and be able to get like a snapshot of how they're doing, where they're going, what they still need in order to graduate. Very, very helpful versus having to go into historical grades and scan up and down. It's a nice snapshot for everyone. We also do, as part of that, the college and career counseling, more as we move towards your one-on-one meetings in your junior and senior years, when we really hunker down and start discussing that. Not that we can't prior, but we sort of set you up with things prior, like surveys that we ask you to do in SCORE. Starts to help you kind of formulate a plan for yourself, and for us to help you think about how to move through SCORE and to move through the years, as far as, well, I'm interested in this as a possible career. What do you guys have at Columbia that you offer that can help me see if I want to pursue that in the future? And so that's always fun, kind of talking with students about where they see themselves and how we can meet that need, or through a class. We also have, I think, a really great crisis team, student assistance counselors at the school. We have social work interns. So there is small group counseling, there's individual counseling, and there's also a crisis response. Unfortunately, if there is a moment of crises, we have a team for that as well. And some of the indirect services that we offer, we make referrals to the child study team. We have 504s for students. We have INRS, which is a program, intervention and referral services. If a student is struggling throughout the first quarter, or at any point really, they can be referred to any of these services. And it's a level of intervention that can really start to have like a small case management for the student, and make sure that they're get back on track, and that they are successful. That's really, I think it's very important. This is something that has really grown, and anybody can be referred by anybody. So a parent can call me and say, I'm thinking, my student needs more of an intervention. A teacher can reach out. I can reach out. So it's really, it's not restrictive to just the student needing to signal that I'm struggling and I need help. And then there's so much collaboration with parents, administrators, teachers, coaches. We're constantly communicating, constantly talking. Don't ever feel like you can't email, you can't call. Please, please, please. Our doors are always open. We definitely want to hear from you. You guys are, you know your students the best. You have been with them through the most. So we definitely want to hear from you. Another thing that we do, we advocate for our students like nobody else. All right, maybe not like parents, but we definitely advocate for your student. We are always on your student side, and we really want the best for them. Next slide. Okay, some more resources. We do have something called an Achieve Tutoring program that has been around for a very long time. It is still here. And it is still offered. Students can get one-to-one or group tutoring, and it's a free tutoring service through Columbia. Also something called SLAM tutoring. This is all going on up in the library. This is going on during lunch periods, after school. And this can all be found as well on the counseling website. There's a forum for students to sign up, or anybody can refer a student for tutoring. We also have a conference period, period 9. Most students, not all, but most students do not have a period 9 in their schedule. So teachers are available to students to pop into their classroom for extra help. I didn't understand the homework. I didn't understand part of your assignment today. I need help with understanding how to start this essay. I mean, it can be for anything that you just pop in, you meet with your teacher. It could be for a couple minutes. I've had students just go and do their homework in the classroom just because they knew they would go and they would get it done and want to get it done during period 9. So there really isn't a particular structure to it. If a teacher asks for you to give them a heads up, you can, but there really isn't a structure to it. We have something called Teachable Tuesdays, which are events that are going to be posted as well. Some you might have to sign up for, some it might just be a drop-in, and there's different topics that are posted each week. We try to keep with what's most relevant and going on in students' lives during that time. There's also, Ms. Balso mentioned, we have groups, we have interns. We have so many interns in the last 2 years, probably more than I've had in the 13 years here. So it's really great to see that we have so much support within the counseling center. We have two kinds of interns, I would say. We have an academic or counseling interns. We have social and emotional support interns. Sometimes it may overlap. A student might need both. They might need one or the other. So I think it's great that they can meet with somebody on a regular basis and really form a meaningful relationship with them as well. I mentioned we have a student assistance counselor, Mr. Lupus, and he's really here to help students in crises. But he's just been a great support, and we all team with him as counselors. If a student comes to me and says, this is what's going on, I don't know what to do, a lot of times I'll bring Mr. Lupus in on it, and we'll come up with a good plan for that student. So the other resource that we have is called The Loft. They're located in the building, and they are another place that provides support to students. They have homework clubs, they have counseling clubs, they have, or they provide counseling. They also do some, I believe it's like job training. Like if you want to be a babysitter, they might do like a little bit of like a curriculum that goes along with that. So you might leave with like a certificate within that. So it's just another resource. A lot of times I kind of say to students, like, if you don't know what you need, but you feel like you need something, you come to me and you describe what that is. We will find the right spot for you. So please always reach out to your counselor if you have any questions. Next slide. Okay, the fun stuff might be a little boring, but it's one of the most important things as well. Graduation requirements. So what do you have to do to get out of high school? So the state mandates that you have 4 years of English, 4 years of phys ed health, and driver's ed. So we have, just to describe it, we do walk you through a health every year. You'll have a health 9, driver's ed, health 11, health 12. And then you'll have other quarters of phys ed that you must pass. 3 years of math, 3 years of science, 3 years of social studies. And you can see the courses are listed here, sort of the progression that you must go through. So for science, you must have biology, physics. You must have courses that have labs attached to it. For social studies, you must have world history, US 1 and US 2. Okay. For world language, you must have 1 year. There's not a required language, but it's 1 year of a world language, and we offer a variety: Chinese, French, Italian, Spanish. I will say it now, and we do tell our students that most colleges are looking for 2 to 3 years of a consecutive language. So just to keep that in the back of your mind. But the state only requires 1 year in order to graduate. You must also complete 1 year or 5 credits of a fine art. I think they're called visual and performing arts now in the program of studies, and 1 year of 21st century life and careers. and a half year of a financial literacy. So something like personal finance. We also offer an online course called Money Skills. So those are 2 courses that meet that requirement. And a total of 120 credits are required to graduate. So if you think about it, we set students up with a minimum of 30 credits a year. So if you pass the classes, we do set you up to be able to meet that minimum requirement of 120 credits. Next slide. Okay. And then just to break down how the grades kind of work and the progression, that in order to become a 10th grader, to see a 10 on your Power School, you need 30 credits before next September. In order to become a junior or 11th grader, you must complete 60 credits. And to become a 12th grader, you must have 90 credits under your belt before you're considered a 12th grader. And I said before, most students are enrolled in 35 credits a year, and most will be in periods 1 through 8. Okay, and I'm going to hand it over to Ms. Handler.
Hi, everybody. I just want to start off by saying that we are so excited to have your students here in person, in real life. I'm sure they're loving it, but we're also genuinely so happy to have everybody in person with us. So a lot of the fun stuff was covered by Ms. Ranelli. This is a little bit more technical. I know that it's something that everyone's going to want to know, though we will urge you not to make this the core of what you're looking for in high school. This is how the GPA is broken down. So there's a weighted and an unweighted GPA. The weighted GPA will be out of a 5.0 scale. The unweighted is out of a 4.0. You can find this again if you ever need to reference it in our program of study through the counseling website. This is super technical, so I'm not going to walk through what each grade is worth, but it is here for you to look at anytime you need it. Next slide, please. So that you know, the GPAs are updated at the end of each school year. So no sense refreshing Power School each marking period. Nothing's going to change until that final grade is captured. The final grade is the same as what's going to show up on your student's transcript. So just keep in mind, be aware, make sure your student is aware that that marking period grade that may be stressing him or her out is not actually going to show up on their transcript come time to apply for colleges. It's the final grade, and that's what's going to go into the GPA. The weighted GPAs that I mentioned earlier, those are comprised of core subjects and also our honors elective courses. Sorry, there's a fly flying around me. So the honors elective, some of those are in the sciences, social studies, any course with an honors attached to it, even some of our advanced art courses, some of our business classes, those will all be factored into a student's weighted GPA. An unweighted GPA captures the grades from all of the courses that the student will take throughout high school. So which counts more for colleges? Sorry, one second. Which counts more? You know, they both count. Colleges are also going to take the transcript and sort of do their own algorithm to come up with a way to compare their applicants. But things to keep in mind, they will be looking for consistency. They will be looking for a level of rigor, and they'll be looking to see if your student challenged themselves over the years. Next slide. So as I mentioned, I know that GPAs, you know, it's in your head that they're super important, and they are, but that's not going to make your student have the best experience that they can. And, you know, try not to let them obsess over it. And I ask you not to do the same, just to get the most out of everybody's time at Columbia. Next slide. Okay, so some of this was mentioned previously, but these are a few of the sort of bonus things that students can do outside of the walls of CHS. So I know Ms. Ranelli mentioned that we will be creating a 4-year plan with all of your students at some point this year. So that will be shared with parents and guardians as well. And what that looks like is just all of those course requirements that were outlined and how your student is doing in terms of reaching those requirements each year. So it's a living document. We'll continue to update it so that everybody is on the same page. Another program that's offered over the summer is the Math Advancement Program. That gives students the opportunity to take a summer course to get ahead. So the students that this would most apply to would be somebody who maybe is not tracking to have time to get to pre-calc or calculus. So take something like geometry, algebra 2 over the summer just to be able to take more advanced math classes later on in high school. And again, that's offered over the summer. The signups for that will come usually May and June. Prerequisites, that's just to encourage you to keep in mind that some of our courses do require prerequisites, especially our math classes, our science classes, some of the art classes, even the computer classes. You want to make sure that if there's a course when you're going through the program of study with your student that he or she really has their heart set on while taking at some point in high school, that we make the prerequisites a priority. And that's also something that'll come up in our 4-year planning meeting as well. VOTEC, we work with Union County Vocational Technical School in Scotch Plains. If you haven't been out there, it's a really, really awesome campus. They have, the traditional trades, things like automotive, culinary arts, and then they have some cool programs like child development, graphic design. Definitely sort of something for everybody. And the way that would work, in the past, it was a 2-year program for upperclassmen. So students would apply, get accepted, and then spend part of their day at the vocational campus and then spend the remainder of their day at Columbia High School. I will say that this past year, Union County VOTEC opened their doors to everybody. I don't know for sure if that was just related to the pandemic or if it's going to stick, but more information to come on that. For freshmen, though, if you think vocational school is something that might be appropriate or of interest to him or her, keep in mind that they do look at your attendance, they do look at your grades. So even if it's not something that can happen this year or next year, it's important that we start planning for it as freshmen. Option 2, so you may have seen some communication about option 2. That's regarding opting out of phys ed for individuals who play either an in-school sport or a competitive sport outside of school. Students are allowed to opt out of PE for 2 quarters a year as long as they're able to provide the appropriate documentation and then that it gets approved by our athletic department. So a lot of our student athletes do like to take advantage of that, to use that time to catch up on their studies because they'll have practice later on in the day. And then money skills, Ms. Ranelli also mentioned that. What that is a fun way to fill that financial literacy requirement that's required by the state. So if a student opts not to take the course in person, the personal finance class in person, students can sign up either in the summer or in the fall or a spring semester to take an online self-paced free course called Money Skills. Definitely a good option, especially a lot of our students like to get it done over the summer and starting as early as 9th grade. Next slide. Okay, I know I talked a million miles an hour, so I'm sure there will be questions about some of that. But again, that was the more technical stuff. Really what's important is that everyone is happy, healthy, and safe. Social connections. Encourage your freshmen to join a club, join a team. I had a student come to me today, a 9th grader, asking how to start a club. That's an option as well, and I love hearing that. Self-care, a lot of our workshops are going to be focused on self-care, but if you can, have it be part of your dinner table conversations too, that would be great. It's something that we need to really put a lot of focus on because at high school there can be a lot of pressures, and again, we want our kids to be happy and healthy. Next slide, please. Okay, and I will turn it back to Ms. Ballasone for the Q&A, I think. Is that how we're going to do it?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Handler. Thanks, Ms. Ranelli. I hope everybody kind of got all that. Again, we know it was a lot, so luckily this is being recorded if you want to watch it back, and we'll also post the slides. And this is information that we do slowly deliver to the students just in a way that's not as like all at once, because that can be a little bit overwhelming. So we have our own plan about how we like slowly roll out this information to your students. So they will all get it in time, and before they need to know it, they'll know it. But hopefully you kind of caught some of that and can start to kind of build that foundation with the things you need to know about to support your student as they move through the high school and find success. So we're going to take some questions now from the chat. Thanks for some of you already typing them in. That's great. So, Mr. Sanchez, do you want to take this question about, again, how to join clubs?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. First of all, I just want to say thank you to Ms. Handler and Ms. Rinelli and Ms. Ballison. The counseling department is one of our strongest departments at the high school. They do an incredible job really reaching out to students, as they mentioned, being advocates for your children, and being there to support them. And I kudos to their revamped website. Ms. Ballason's worked tirelessly over the summer with her counselors on that, and we hope providing all this information is extremely helpful. Now, to join a club, Mr. Mullen is the person in charge of the clubs, and so he will be able to reach out to you. If it's not, investment club actually was one of those clubs that I think started, and I think we made a mistake actually and created two clubs. There's an investing club and an investment club. They should be together, but I think the students are like, no, we want to be separate. We're probably going to merge those two clubs, and that's why maybe you're having the issue of finding them. But we will get that straightened out this week. You can personally email me that, because I actually joined that club myself, and seriously, and I have the contact information. So the student reached out to me, so I can give you that information. But I believe it's on the counseling website, right, Ms. Ballison?
So there's
on
the Columbia High School website, there's an activities page that's separate from the counseling page. And if you click on the activities page right on the high school, it just links you to the live Google Doc, which is, up to date, of all the clubs, who the advisor is, and everything like that. And yes, a question about the Chromebooks. You are not required to use a district Chromebook, but you are required to bring your own device.
Actually, can I just make a change on that?
Oh no, I've been telling people they don't need to
because that's what we got. Yes, things change quickly here. Actually, because there is a state assessment very early in the year in October, it's called, and we shouldn't be nervous about it. It's called Strong. I'm sorry, it's called Start Strong. It will be in October, and this is an interesting assessment. It's not like NJSLA Park, where there are various days, and I think we lose a lot of instruction that way when it's 3 or 4 days. This is going to be a 1 day's worth of English or math. In other words, 1 hour of an English assessment and a math assessment. And because it's an online test, the easiest way for us to do it is to push it out using the Chromebook. So actually, all students will have to get the Chromebook. That's the laptop that they can use during those testing sessions. So we are requiring students at first to get those Chromebooks. So that actually by October 1st is necessary. And I believe I just sent out an email to students that they can go and pick it up during lunchtime now. So parents don't have to be chauffeuring kids back and forth to get that. So I apologize about that, Ms. Ballison, but that was a curveball that was just given to us this week.
I'm so glad somebody asked, so that now we all know, and we'll tell the other counselors too.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to give them the link about the clubs right now, and Mr. Mullen's email. So.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Let's see. Okay, so I think there's a great question here about where students can do work after school. And one of the best places is definitely the library. It's a big space. There's lots of nooks and crannies if you kind of want to like go off into a corner, or if you want to sit with some of your friends at a table and study together, there's plenty of spaces for that as well. So I believe that we're announcing this new reservation system for the library where you can reserve a space in the library since there is a maximum capacity for it. So I think that's probably the best space to do some work in the building that's open after school. But yes, they can also see teachers during ninth period. So I always tell a student, like, if you're having a really hard time in math, you should just sit with your math teacher in that room ninth period. Even if you're not talking to the teacher or conferencing with them directly, why not just sit in there and do your math work before you go home? And you can even quickly just have your teacher look at it with you before you head out. That's a good tip. Okay. So some issues connecting Canvas and the parent app, like getting on the Canvas on the parent app. Is that, Mr. Sanchez, is that something the librarians can help parents with?
Yes, specifically Mr. Cosgrave. So if they use the CHS library email, Mr. Cosgrave actually went to training over the summer to help parents and students with Canvas. So I will put his email right there for you. Give me 1 second.
Thanks. So the library, I did have the hours there on the first slide. Hold on. Can I get back there? No, it doesn't. It's mad at me. The library's open till 5, Mr. Sanchez?
Yes, it is.
Okay, till 5. So that's pretty good to have an open space in the high school like that. Okay, lots of tech issues. All right, ninth period. What time is ninth period? That does start at 2:15. It goes till 3. So if your student is just a 1 through 8 schedule, then their day should end at 2:15, and for the next 45 minutes, they're able to go find teachers to conference with or just work quietly in the library, whatever they want to do. Okay. Lots of questions about the syncing of PowerSchool and Canvas. That's a big question that even the counselors often have. So sorry to put you back on the spot, Mr. Sanchez, but if you could
That's
take
okay.
that. Okay.
Sure. PowerSchool is the archive of our grades. So that's the most accurate place for up-to-date grades. Our teachers some teachers are grading assignments on Canvas, and then they are to sync it nightly onto PowerSchool. It takes a 24-hour lag. We walked teachers through that process just last week. And so there might be some that just have to get back into the habit of doing that on a daily basis. So we'll just remind our teachers of that. But again, when I taught using Canvas, right, most of my assignments were in Canvas, but not every assignment, or every assessment. So that's why it was always important to remind people that PowerSchool is the place where the grades are the most current. And if you have, again, we'll remind faculty about syncing. And that's the answer I was just going to say. Parent portal will help you with getting your emails correctly.
So many tech questions. It's funny because I'm the one who usually has those questions. Sorry, I can't answer those, everybody, but we're here with any questions about counseling and supports and how the high school works. And we're not tech savvy though. We're getting there. We're working on it.
No, it's good. And once they get the emails too, right? That helps a lot. So
Yeah.
that's important.
I will say that I'm so glad everyone's like making sure that they're linked on to their students' things so that they can check on it and everything. And, I'm sure everyone on this call has heard me say it before, but like my number one tip really for supporting your children through high school is to pick like one time of the week. So maybe it's like Wednesday after school, whatever it is, that every week, Wednesday after school is when you're going to check in with your student about how everything is going at school. Look on PowerSchool together, look on Canvas together, and let your student know that you're not going to ask them about it again until next Wednesday, so that they just know to prepare every Wednesday to be able to update you on what's going on and sit down and look at PowerSchool with you. So try not to have it be an everyday thing, but also try not to have it be a never thing. You want to kind of check in with them, especially ninth grade. A lot of them were virtual last year for the entire year. So there does need to be some hand holding happening to kind of get back into the groove. So you just want to find the right balance there. Okay. We have a lot of vaccinated students at Columbia High School. What are we at? 85%?
We're over at that at this point. We will be sending out a reminder for parents to send us those records if they have not. Just to give you a great example, we had one positive case, and because of the number of vaccinations around that student, there was only one other student that had to be quarantined. So all 20 students, 20 of the 22 students were vaccinated. So it was a great example of how many students are vaccinated here at Columbia High School. We will have every Saturday testing. Unfortunately, we had in fact, I think we're so successful that we had a vaccination lab for this past Saturday, but because so few people took advantage of it, we didn't meet the amount from St. Barnabas to actually have them come here. So I think that sends a good message about how many people are vaccinated in South Orange and Maplewood, specifically students. So that's just great for us. We feel very comfortable with our students here.
Thanks. Do one of the counselors want to take this one? Can counselors connect students with summer programs, internships, volunteer opportunities? Popular question that we do get.
You want me to take it?
Don't all fight for it. Don't all fight for it. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so on our brand new beautiful counseling website, you'll be able to access a database that we update regularly that includes all kinds of summer program opportunities at local universities, well, near and far actually. Different scholarship opportunities come senior year for your students. So if you just go into the counseling page, there'll be a drop-down menu. Ms. Balsone, what section is it under exactly?
So I think it's called programs and scholarships.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
So look right there and you'll be able to see this massive Excel file that's constantly being updated by the counseling staff. The question right below that I see is, how do you get your students signed up to meet with a counseling intern? Same thing, head over to our website. There will be a referral form where you can just put in to sign your student up for whatever services he or she might need. So that same form, you'd be able to sign up for tutoring, for workshops, to meet with a social worker, to meet with a counseling intern, tons and tons of different things on that same form. We're kind of just streamlining everything. And again, you can fill that out, the counselors can fill it out, the student themselves can fill it out, but that is available right on our counseling homepage.
Thanks.
There's a question about freshmen being with upperclassmen in certain classes. I could just take that. I know, for example, with PE, we do have a specific freshman only PE, and whereas the other classes, you might have a 10th through 12th grade physical education. Obviously, if your child is taking geometry, there might be sophomores in that class, but English class and social studies class, for the most, are just with freshmen only. It's usually electives, for example, photography, that might have a sophomore or junior or senior.
Thanks. Question about grading, or do we still have pluses and minuses? Yes, we do. We still have pluses and minuses. Ms. Rinaldi, do you want to take this one, the difference between SLAM and Achieve?
Sure, but I might be asking for confirmation because I know things have sort of changed since we went virtual and back. But
Yeah.
my understanding was Achieve was not used to be offered outside of school hours. So it was at night, it was on a weekend, or right after school. But now, and SLAM was offered during the day, perhaps during the students' lunch period, or possibly a phys ed period if the student was excused and there was an understanding that they would leave their phys ed class and be able to attend a tutoring session. But I believe Achieve Now is also being offered during the day as well. Over the last few years, they've started offering it during the day for students.
Yes, thank
Okay.
you. There's so much tutoring going on, but and just the only other difference is that the tutoring is either with like a community member or a peer who's taken the class, and SLAM tutoring is with a CHS teacher. So lots of tutoring opportunities, whichever works best for you, we'll have something for you. Let's see, I think these are COVID related questions about testing. I don't know actually what that is. How long will the testing site be available? Does that mean the COVID testing site all year
Yes.
round? Yeah, okay.
It's not all year, it's at least uh, this calendar year. So we have it well into the fall, October and November, and we assume that it will continue in December. But we had very good numbers attending the last couple weeks, so we hope that continues. And that is through a partnership with Essex County Department of Health. So we thank Essex County for that. I hope that answer. And there was a question about vaccination and quarantining. Again, those students who are vaccinated, they are not to be, they don't quarantine just because they're a direct contact or in the classroom. Those students do not have to quarantine unless they show symptoms, right? Because we do know about breakthrough cases. If they are showing symptoms, then we do ask for those students to quarantine. We contact trace. We've been doing that for the past. We have I think a great record of that since last year. Even though we may not have had school all year in person, we had sports. So our pandemic response team is very fast when it comes to dealing with a possible COVID case or a student who might be a direct contact and is unvaccinated.
I'll try to answer a couple of these really quick. With clubs, so the time intensive, it really varies by club. So whatever your student is interested in, they could reach out to the club advisor. The contact information should be there on the activity sheet to find out what the time commitment is. Some are more lax than others. Some are like project based where, you can sign up for a service project once or twice a year and that's it. There's others where you really need to be committed to a weekly thing. Some of the clubs do have deadlines for signing up, just like, for example, the robotics club, they start entering into competitions. They start building, they start really doing team related competitive things in the robotics club. So you can't necessarily join that midway through the year. But then there's tons of other clubs that you can just jump on whenever you feel like. Maybe you play a sport through the winter, but then in the spring you're open. And there are definitely some clubs that you can just join at the end of the year, but not all. So again, you would have to kind of figure out what you're interested in and reach out for some of those details since it's really club specific. So Ms. Ranelli, we love this question about the world history exam for ninth graders. So what is the advantage of taking the exam as a freshman? Well, if your student does well, then you can one day try to see if your student can get college credit for that from whatever college it is that they're matriculating at. Some may also think that it's good practice for future AP exams. If anyone else wants to jump in with some advantages of taking the AP exam for world history.
I just actually wanted to jump in and say that in the coming weeks, I'm one of the AP coordinators, AP testing coordinators. We will be going into the world history honors classrooms and explaining how exactly and handing out a piece of paper that describes it and how to do it. It'll also be on our website of how to actually sign up and register and enroll for the actual AP test as well, because that can be a little confusing to newcomers to the scene for AP testing. So we will go in and we will be explaining exactly how to sign up for it, and just letting students know that it is not mandatory that they take this exam in their freshman year, the world history exam. But I don't know that I have much more to add from Ms. Balasone for the benefits to taking it. It is really good practice to know what to expect in the future if you are going to take, let's just say, U.S. history, AP, or other AP courses. You kind of get a feel for what that's like beforehand, and possibly college credit one day, depending on if you do well on the exam.
There's some questions here about special services. So if your child does have an IEP, the person to connect with about that is their case manager on the child study team. So if you need help connecting with that person, your child's counselor can absolutely help connect you with that person if you're unsure how to get them. And then there's some questions here about 504s. if teachers are aware of the students' 504s or do the parents need to reach out? The teachers are aware of the students' 504. They have access to it and were expected to have reviewed it. Back to school night. Mr. Sanchez, what's happening on back to school night? Are parents going to meet with their student's teacher? Is the question?
Yeah, virtually, yes. Back to school night will be September 30th. All district back to school nights will be virtual, where links will be provided for parents to learn about the curriculum for each of the grades. I'm sorry, for each of the classes that a child has. We will have an introduction. I will be there, as well as the home and school and other of these partners that you mentioned earlier. And again, that will be at 7 p.m. We'll be sending out a specific email about that later this week, just to remind you about that day.
Thank you. And do you also mind just kind of introducing who Miss Morrison is to everybody? There's a question here about that, and that's a really great question. I probably should have included that in my.
Sure. Oh, no, of course not. Mr. Patterson, our former assistant principal, is now a principal in a neighboring district. And so we went through an intensive search throughout this summer, and we're so happy to have Miss Tracy Morrison. She actually is a counselor. We thought that was really important for a perspective for our next vice principal to have that type of background. And it worked out very well. Ms. Morrison is in a neighboring district, but will be here in the beginning of October. So she has met the freshmen at a couple of our assemblies and has been here a few days, but she officially starts in October.
Thank you. We're very excited to have her.
Absolutely.
A former counselor as an assistant principal. I think the counselors are happy to hear that. All right. I think, it's hard with this little chat feature. It's like the little box is this small. So I'm sorry if we did miss anyone's question. I'm so sorry. But of course, the point of tonight was also just to make sure everyone knows that the counselor is kind of that person for you here at the school, whether it's you or your student, the whole family, like we're your go-to person. So just make sure that you reach out to your student's counselor with any questions at all. If you want to be connected with someone else, we can help connect you. If you're just not sure where to go or what to do about something, your student's counselor is the person to go to, and we'll make sure that, you get the services that you need and the assistance that you need.
And I'm going to put an email in the chat for Miss Alvarado. She deals with absences, and if your child has to leave early, you can email her, and she will take care of that absence. And then your child can just sign out at the front desk for a doctor's appointment, and then sign back in when that appointment is finished.
Okay, and then I'd be remiss not to just answer this one last question because it's about where we can find the graduation requirements. So not to keep saying go on our website, but if you go on the counseling website of the CHS page, there's also a link to our program of studies, which is a really important document that's very long, but you should definitely familiarize yourself with at some point. The whole first part of the program of studies is just kind of like explaining everything, like everything we talked about tonight in detail, including the graduation requirements, GPA, everything like that, explained in the program of studies. And then the second half of the document is all of our course offerings at the high school and a description of what each is, if there's any prerequisites, everything like that. So the program of studies on our website is a really important document to review and can answer most of the questions that you have. And if you have any others, you can definitely reach out to your student's counselor. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for logging on tonight. And thank you to our amazing counselors, Ms. Ranelli and Ms. Handler, for your excellent presentations and for being here. And thank you to Principal Sanchez for always supporting the Counseling Center and being here as well after a long day to help speak with all our families.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
So again, we just encourage you to reach out if you have any more questions after this or need further clarification, or you have like an individual question about your own student. reach out to your student's counselor and we'll be sure to get back to you. Thank you, everybody.